Welcome back, everyone. We have an update from NeuroMetrix, Inc., which trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol NURO. It is a commercial stage healthcare company that develops and commercializes neurotechnology devices to address unmet needs in the chronic pain and diabetes market. Happy to welcome Dr. Shai Gozani, CEO, for this update. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you for joining us today. So I'll start with the traditional forward-looking statement disclaimer. Please take a look at our recently filed Q and K for a complete listing of risk factors. So just by way of reminder, before I kind of focus in on our core fibromyalgia business, I wanted to remind everyone that at NeuroMetrix, our mission is to improve the lives of patients with complex chronic pain conditions through neuromodulation devices. And just in terms of our investor thesis, we think it's pretty straightforward. We've had a significant number of recent clinical and regulatory achievements that we think position us for a sustained period of growth. And in terms of more specifics, our neuromodulation platform called Quell has received 2 FDA breakthrough device designations, one for fibromyalgia and the second for chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, or CIPN. We've launched the fibromyalgia indication into the U.S. market, and I will cover our operating results and for the first 3 quarters of that launch, which we consider our strategic launch. That'll be the focus today. But beyond fibromyalgia, we have a pipeline of additional clinical indications. The furthest along is for CIPN, or chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. We also have a neurodiagnostic business as well as legacy products that generate positive cash flow for the company and offset our financing needs in terms of funding the growth of our neuromodulation business. And as we see here today, we have sufficient cash on our balance sheet to fund our near-term growth needs. We have no debt and a very simple capitalization that consists of only common stock. So just by way of reminder, Quell is our neuromodulation platform. It is the first and only what we would call high-dose wearable neuromodulation device for chronic pain. What it is a neurostimulation device that's placed on the calf, as you can see in the image. And what it does is it stimulates both cutaneous or surface nerves as well as the deeper nerves to evoke a pain relief response that is primarily generated in the spinal cord and the central nervous system more broadly. It provides daily multi-hour stimulation. It is the only device that's capable of doing that. It's typically used for 4 to 8 hours a day, which is necessary for patients with chronic pain because they're essentially suffering from chronic pain at all times, and is the only such device that is cleared by the FDA for use during sleep. Very sophisticated technology. It's also a connected device, so it's sort of configured and can be controlled via a mobile device. And it's also cloud integrated, which gives us a lot of visibility on its utilization. And it's a highly protected technology with 26 U.S. utility patents and numerous international patents. What I wanted to focus the update today on is what we've experienced thus far, to give our investors a little under the hood view of the early operating results with this launch. So this slide shows that, and I'll go through it in some detail. I just want to frame this for you. We, in the first 3 quarters of this year, which constitutes the first 3 quarters of our launch, we've had just our field presence has been limited to just our national directors of sales, who has about 50% of his time in the field and 50% of his time dedicated to other activities. So these results basically represent what about 1/2 of a dedicated field sales representative could generate, we believe. So very early evidence of we think of really a really significant opportunity. So just to kind of go through the data and again give you some highlights. The leftmost figure here shows in each of the 3 quarters, again, this is the first 3 quarters of our strategic launch, the number of physicians and other healthcare professionals who wrote a prescription in that quarter. So as you can see, the last 2 quarters about 125 different physicians have written a prescription. And this is about what we want for a territory. You can only have so many physicians that you can really effectively engage and manage. So we're pleased by that. The rightmost graph shows the aggregate number of prescriptions that have been written over the first 3 quarters, the aggregate number of prescriptions that have been filled, excuse me, and the aggregate number of refill months that have been that have occurred from these prescriptions. So starting with the number of prescriptions. So as you can see, about 750 prescriptions have been written in aggregate over the first 3 quarters. About 250 have been added in each of the second and third quarters. And that really reflects the ability of this one, 50% time of this one, our national sales director, to actually get onto the field. So we're pleased with that. What I'll point out is we did add 2 additional sales managers in the third quarter who got up to speed by early in the fourth quarter, and we've seen a significant uptick in October, as we would expect. The second graph there shows the aggregate number of prescriptions that have been filled. So about 60% of the prescriptions that are written by physicians are actually filled by patients, which is quite good given the fact that this is a cash pay business. So about a little or almost 2/3 of written prescriptions get filled by patients, and we're again satisfied with that number. Would like to see it increase a little bit, but are pretty satisfied with it. And then the final set of bars represent the number of refills. So this is the number of months of refills that patients have implemented based on their prescription. As you can see, that number is accelerating from quarter to quarter, which reflects the fact that we have a growing number of patients on treatment with Quell. So both so basically all the patients that are on have a prescription filled, an initial prescription filled, become candidates that have refills. So we see accelerating growth there, even though the growth on the initial prescriptions is more linear. So overall, we're very satisfied with these results. We think it's indicative of the potential of the market. It's the reason we added 2 additional sales managers in the third quarter. As I said, we're starting to see their productivity ramp up, and then we'll be looking at a second expansion, probably in about the second quarter of 2024. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Anna, if there are any specific questions.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so are you satisfied with the approximate 60% prescription first fill rate, or do you have a target level you'd like to reach?
As I said, we are satisfied with that. More broadly, when you look at first fill rates for drugs with very low copays, they can get up to about 75%, maybe 80%. So we would like to see that maybe creep up into the 70% range, but at this point, we're quite satisfied.
And about how long does it take for new sales representatives to get up to speed and start generating meaningful numbers of prescriptions?
Based on our early results, I would say it's several months. There's no playbook for a fibromyalgia business. Fibromyalgia patients, there are millions and millions of them in the country, probably 15 million. But they're managed by a diverse group of different physicians. So the challenge in going into a territory is really understanding within that territory who are the primary prescribers. So we're seeing good productivity start to emerge within several months.
And now that you are several months into having an expanded sales team, talk a little bit about that evidence and the prescription growth, and a little bit about the future.
Yeah, well, as I said, we're seeing those. We're really excited about what we've seen in October. Obviously, we can't give the exact numbers, and we'll talk about that early next year. But we've clearly seen the benefit of having the field presence expanded, the ability of more NeuroMetrix representatives to engage with physicians, get offices up and going on prescribing. So very excited about what we're seeing. Lots of work to do, but clear evidence that future expansion should be beneficial.
And last question, what feedback have you received from physicians and patients on your cash pay approach as opposed to pursuing a third-party reimbursement?
Yeah, that was one of the really big questions for us going into the strategic launch. We decided to take cash pay as our primary approach, although we will pursue some pockets of third-party reimbursement. But I'd say it's been really encouraging and positive. Physicians love it because it's very simple. They don't have any administrative overhead. They think it's clinically justified for the patient. They simply write the prescription. There are no approvals, no risk of insurance rejection, and so forth. So it's really straightforward. And for patients, it's very transparent. They know exactly what they're going to pay. They can judge the value. There's no question, again, about whether it's going to be covered or not covered, hidden payments, co-pays, all those other things that really complicate traditional third-party reimbursement. So I would say to date, it's been quite successful and very well received.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this update, and we look forward to your next one.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone, stay with us. We'll